fans, what basketball fans do is if LeBron doesn't win, I'm a Warrior. I got the Warriors.
Don't ever compare me to LeBron fans. I actually have some common sense in them and some sense of loyalty.
True.
So is it Super Bowl or bust for Andy Reid this year?
Super Bowl or bust. You have one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, probably the best one. You're an offensive genius. You have the reason why Mahomes, it looks so easy for him because his weapons are out of this world. You know what I'm saying?
Receivers got 4-4 speed.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, so you add Shady to that backfield. I like the rookie Derwin Thompson, who they drafted from Utah State in the 6th round.
He nice.
Who can do a lot of great things. It could possibly be like a James White for the Chiefs and maybe more. Then you have Travis Kelce. You add you lose Demetrius Harris, who was a good big threat as a tight end, but you add Blake Bell, the former quarterback at Oklahoma, and he's just another after the catch guy. You have Tyreek Hill, who people have to they forget is that he's learning a receiver position every year. You know, in college he was just like a
gadget guy.
Yeah, a gadget guy, and this is going to be his 3rd year really being like a wideout, so he's only going to get better. You have Sammy Watkins. If his body looked great this offseason. That's the word.
Great.
Bro, Clemson receivers have not aged well outside of DeAndre Hopkins.
So who scares you in the AFC West first, and then who scares you just overall in the AFC as far as
in the AFC West? To be honest, no one scares me.
Not even the Chargers?
No, because they lost their best defender in Derwin James, and then they lost their running back. So I just think Phillip Rivers.
Fair.
His career has always been really great year, then mediocre year, really great year. So this might be that mediocre year where they take a step back to where maybe the Raiders have a chance to be the 2nd best team in the division. But you never know.
Denver's pretty bad.
Yeah, Denver's pretty.
But what about overall just in the AFC? Who's going to be playing them in the championship game in your mind?
Man,
and your fantasy.
Until you beat the Pats, that's who you're going to face. You know,
okay.
I like Cleveland, but they have to prove it. If you remember that team Andy Reid had with the Eagles, where they had all this talent, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're about to, do their thing." It's tough to do.
But that dream team is different because Nnamdi should have never been playing in his own scheme. He was a man corner. Rogers Cromartie was great. Vince Young was a backup QB. But this Cleveland offense. They cut down the tackle, but they're restructuring his deal. But you got Njoku, you got Higgins, you got Callaway, you got
Odell,
Chubb, and then you got Odell, and then you got Jarvis Landry.
And Kareem comes after 8 games.
So
that's you kind of. They gave up Zeitler on the offensive line, but they're sliding in the dude from Corbett, the dude from Nevada.
All right, bro. Nobody's trying to talk about the Browns.
Yeah, nobody's talking about
Nobody's talking about the Browns.
Do you think they might get stumped?
I don't think they're ready to. They still have to worry about the Steelers in their division. I think that people are writing off the Steelers too fast to where they have. Connor now is going to be his 2nd year being the feature back. You still have Juju. I like James Washington. I think he can make some plays. So then you still have Big Ben and Tomlin. So. And their defense is going to be improved.
And Baltimore's sneaky.
Last thing on the Chiefs, what's their biggest weakness? What are you most afraid of?
The biggest weakness for the Chiefs is going to be their cornerback play. I just think
Again.
but yeah, I guess you could say that. But last year
you shouldn't have traded away one of your
Marcus
best corners.
Peters. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe.
I was talking to someone earlier about that. I was like, damn, if we had Marcus Peters, we'd probably be defending champs.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would for sure.
And it's crazy. And then our pass rush is going to be. I think last year everywhere was bad except for the pass rush. Safeties have improved with the Honey Badger. I like Juan Thornhill from Virginia, who's a ball hawk. He's going to play. Now, Surson can be that 3rd safety. I think us being in a 4-3 scheme makes Anthony Hitchens a better player. Yeah. I like Damian Wilson, a guy from Dallas that we got. And then Darren Lee, I think him coming from the Jets, 1st-round pick from Ohio State. That he's playing in a system where he's just going to be able to run crazy. You got Frank Clark, Chris Jones up front.
Emmanuel Ogba.
Yeah, Emmanuel. You have Derek Nottie. So I think the Chiefs, to be honest, the only way that they won't win is if they beat themselves by making, by injuries happening. them not playing up to par. But if they take care of business with this offensive mind at head coach with all these weapons and this defense, I think the Chiefs can be great.
All right, real quick before we let you go, plug your social channels.
Hey, Courtside Radio. Make sure you guys tune in here on the Good News Radio app. Mykell the PG. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter.
And he always late.
Yeah. Hey,
Go ahead,
don't
answer.
at me.
Go ahead, answer.
All right, thanks, Mykell.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. What is your name and where are you calling from?
This is Jamie Hoyle from the Lightning Round podcast.
What's good, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, we're breaking down basically the whole AFC West, and the last team we got to talk about is the Chargers. So we're happy to have you on. It's not always easy finding Chargers experts or fans, so shout out to you.
Thank you.
So we have a game that we play here. It's called Touchdown or Turnover. Basically, it's another version of buy or sell. Touchdown is good, turnover is bad. So my first question for you is, I'm going to give you a statement, and you could just tell me if it's a touchdown or a turnover related to the Chargers. Okay, so Melvin Gordon doesn't play a down for the Chargers this year. Is that a touchdown or is that a turnover?
Personally, I think it's a turnover.
Okay. Next. Go ahead.
I think, if you look at the way the CBA works and you look at the language in the standard NFL contract, he needs his contract to expire before he can become a free agent. And he is going to have to play some unknown number of games for that to happen. If he does not play any games, there is language in his contract that requires the contract to toll or basically pause until he does come back to play.
Okay.
So basically what's going to happen is if he let's just say, for example, he decided not to come back and play. Basically what would happen is his agents would take the Chargers to arbitration and argue that he's played his 4 years in the league and he has enough service time accrued to become a free agent. Once you go to arbitration, you need case law to back up your argument. And the only case law that is similar to the situation that Gordon is in was Joey Galloway, and I believe it was in 1998, 1999, something like that. It was when he was moving on from the Seahawks to the Cowboys, and he held out for half of a season and came back and played 8 games and took the team to arbitration the following offseason, and the arbitrator decided that he had played enough games by playing 8 games in his 5th season to become a free agent. So if you look at that case and you look at how the contracts are written, if he doesn't play, his contract is going to toll and it would not restart, and he would not start accruing time until he came back to play again. So it's very unlikely that he would win an arbitration case if he sat out the whole year and then tried to go to arbitration to become a free agent. So I think he will play again, and I think he will probably play probably 8 games, maybe one more than that. My guess is he'll be back sometime around week 8.
What if he gets played more than Zeke? Is that a touchdown or a turnover for the Chargers?
If he gets that's a turnover. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
There's pretty much zero chance of them paying him more than Zeke, because the word is they wanted to make him a $10 million a year running back. So to think that they're going to, pay him $15, $16 million after holding steady at $10 million a year all off season it's a pretty good long shot. So that's definitely a turnover. I don't see that happening.
And as far as that running back market, because Zeke pretty much reset it with that $50 million deal, we talk about a guy who's all-purpose, where he gets catches, he can run the ball, he scores touchdowns. But let's say you look at backs like a Christian McCaffrey, who literally led his team in receptions and almost had 1,000 yards receiving and already had 1,000 yards rushing. Where do you think Gordon's window is? Like this season, like 2 years, like to where, like, if he doesn't settle this, his career's just done.
Well, I think he's put himself in an odd spot. just based in terms of, he doesn't have a whole lot of leverage to work with because I think he needs to play at least 8 games this year to become a free agent, like we talked about. If for some reason he decides to sit out the whole year and then by some miracle he became a free agent next year, the Chargers would probably franchise tag him and try to trade him. So, and people are saying, well, he just wouldn't sign the franchise tag and he wouldn't sit out. I find that hard to believe because they're going to have a lockout in 2021. So, is he going to sit out?
No one's even
this
talking
year,
about that. Yeah,
True.
sit out next year, and then sit out a third year? Those are the last 3 years of his prime, and they're probably the only 3 years of any contract he's going to sign that he's actually going to be on a team for. So, I mean, in all reality, even if he signs a 7-year deal, chances are whoever signs him to a contract, whether it's the Chargers or whomever, they're going to look for an out after year 3 at the latest. And he probably will not be making that money entering the 4th year of whatever deal he signs. So he's got 3 solid years left in his career. If he sits out this year and he doesn't become a free agent, or if he does and the team tags him and he decides to sit out next year, he's going to lose the 3 most productive years of whatever new contract he signs. And by the time he comes back, he'll be 30 years old, and he would have missed his window for a payday.
So good, great stuff on Gordon. But just getting back to the team as a whole, this team's talked a lot about as one of the deepest teams in the league. And, one of my first question is, what are some holes that you see, 1, and 2, who is your X factor on the rosters, a guy who you think is going to really break through and really make an impact that no one's really talking about?
Well, I think the biggest hole on this team is far and away the offensive line. And in particular, the tackle spots. I think, they're pretty well set at center with Mike Pouncey. I think they're going to be rotating guards for the first 4 or 5 games, and eventually they're going to set on a guard combo of Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp. But they don't have any tackle options. Hopefully, we don't know what's going on with Russell Okung's blood clots, but hopefully he comes back at some point after week 6 when he's able to come back off of the non-football injury list. But I think that offensive line and the tackle spots in particular are going to be a huge hole because Sam Tevy did not play well last year. He was terrible in the preseason. And the other 2 tackles behind him on the roster are guys with basically no regular season experience at the tackle spot. So you've got Trey Pipkins, who was a 3rd-round pick out of, I believe it was Stony Brook, if I'm not mistaken, and he's a guy who has never played it down in the NFL, obviously. He's a rookie. They drafted him expecting him to have a developmental year, and now he's in the hunt for a starting tackle spot because of how bad the tackles were in the preseason.
Wow.
And then obviously there's also Trent Scott at left tackle, who is probably going to wind up filling in for Okung for at least part of the season, and who knows what to expect from him. So the offensive line is far and away the biggest weak link on this team. No one really knows what to expect other than it's probably pretty reasonable to think they're going to be pretty bad. In terms of X factors, I've got a couple for you. I think one, and everybody seems to be forgetting about this guy. He was.
Did we lose him?
Hello?
Jamie? Can you hear us? Wait. Sorry, you cut out. Go ahead. Sorry. Cut out.
What's that?
You cut out. Sorry, we didn't hear you.
Oh, my mistake. I was just saying I think Hunter Henry is the offensive X factor for this team.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he's a guy who, had a huge year in 2017 before he got hurt in camp last year. And when he's been on the field and they've thrown the ball to him, the team has been extremely efficient and extremely successful. So I think I think in Henry you're looking at a guy who's going to catch a whole lot of 3rd down passes. He's going to be a guy who gets a whole lot of chunk plays in the middle of the field in the intermediate passing game. And I think he's going to be a huge part of the red zone offense as well, him and Mike Williams catching a lot of rigorous passes in the end zone. On defense, a guy that I'm really excited to see, a couple guys I'm really excited to see. One is Kaiser White, the middle linebacker. Got off to a good start last year and got hurt, and he's been flying all over the field. in the preseason. He can cover ground in a way that most of their linebackers can't. He can run.